The issue of corruption among African leaders is complex and multifaceted, involving a combination of historical, political, economic, and social factors. Here are some key reasons why corruption tends to be prevalent among African leaders. Colonial legacy. The arbitrary borders and exploitative governance structures established during colonial times often left African nations with weak institutions and governance systems. The transition from colonial rule to independence was frequently abrupt, leaving newly independent nations without the necessary administrative experience and robust institutions to manage their affairs effectively. Post-colonial power struggles. After gaining independence, many African countries experienced power struggles and coups, which often led to the consolidation of power by military leaders or authoritarian regimes. These regimes frequently prioritized personal gain and loyalty over good governance and public service. Lack of strong institutions. Many African countries have weak legal and regulatory institutions that are unable to effectively check the power of the executive and hold leaders accountable for corrupt practices. This includes weak judicial systems, ineffective law enforcement, and limited oversight by legislative bodies. Patronage systems. In many African countries, political power is maintained through patronage networks, where leaders use state resources to reward loyal supporters and maintain their grip on power. This system encourages corruption as leaders and their allies prioritize personal enrichment over public service. Resource wealth. The abundance of natural resources in many African countries, such as oil, minerals, and diamonds, can lead to the resource curse, where resource wealth is mismanaged and exploited for personal gain rather than national development. This can create opportunities for corruption and rent-seeking behavior. Poverty and inequality. High levels of poverty and inequality can exacerbate corruption, as individuals may feel compelled to engage in corrupt practices to secure their livelihoods. Additionally, the lack of economic opportunities can make public office more attractive as a means of personal enrichment. Lack of accountability. In many African countries, there is a lack of transparency and accountability in government operations. This can be due to a lack of free and independent media, limited civil society engagement, and restricted political freedoms. Authoritarianism. In countries with authoritarian or semi-authoritarian regimes, leaders often consolidate power and suppress dissent, making it difficult to hold them accountable for corrupt practices. The lack of democratic governance and checks and balances can lead to unchecked corruption. Norms and values. In some contexts, cultural norms and values may tolerate or even encourage certain forms of corruption, such as gift-giving and nepotism. These practices can become deeply ingrained in the political and social fabric of a country, making it challenging to combat corruption. Collectivist societies. In collectivist societies, there may be a stronger emphasis on loyalty to family, clan, or ethnic group, which can lead to favoritism and nepotism. Leaders may feel obligated to use their position to benefit their immediate community rather than the broader public. Foreign influence and aid. International actors, including foreign governments and multinational corporations, can sometimes contribute to corruption by engaging in corrupt practices themselves or by providing aid and investments without adequate oversight. This can create opportunities for corrupt leaders to siphon off resources for personal gain. Global financial system. The global financial system, including tax havens and banking secrecy, can facilitate the transfer and concealment of illicit funds. Corrupt leaders can exploit these systems to launder money and hide their assets abroad. Addressing corruption among African leaders requires a multifaceted approach that includes strengthening institutions, promoting transparency and accountability, fostering economic development, and encouraging democratic governance. It also requires international cooperation to tackle global financial systems that enable corruption and to support efforts to build capacity and resilience in African nations.